So I do have to appreciate for Arcturus for letting me do the review on the Trinity Armament for the AEG variant. But this one is going to be more interesting as we look into the HPA. So why don't we do a review on the Trinity Armament again, but this time on doing HPA setups. Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of Airsoft Master. And today what we're talking about is, again, the Trinity Alpha series. But mainly, instead of the AEG, we're going to be looking to, my first time ever looking into a review, is the HPA lineup series. And basically, all of it does look the same, but when it gets to the internals is where we see the fine moment. But again, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you're looking for products like these, do check it out at airsoftmaster.com. But let's move on to the review. As we reviewed last time on the Trinity Armament series with the collaboration of Gate and Arcturus, we know that they do a very fine job on the main key features such as the Titan II, the 13-1 gear set, full metal receivers, and from even the rail being monolithic, and at the same time having QD sleeve mounts where it matters. But what would happen if we looked to something more advanced than that? For mainly my airsofters that use HPA, what makes it different between from going from any other HPA line of engine on their normal customized build? So let's go ahead and work our way from the front and to the back of the same thing with this rifle, and then we'll go on to the most important things is the internals. Moving on. Again, starting off with, you do have is your federally mandated orange tip on the end of it, but again, you do have is a 14mm negative threading underneath to put either suppressors, tracer units, and any other type of attachments or flash riders you want to put out there. At the same time, the model you do have there is the same thing like we normally do for the AEGs. You have in front of me is the PDW variant. There is the 11.5 inch, and of course the carbine series, which is around the 15 inch. So you do have a plethora of depending on whatever style you want to make for the rifle on series. Now, as for the rail, what you do have is the 12 o'clock Picatinny rail mount on the back end, being from all the way monolithic to the back end of the receiver, so you do have real estate to put other accessories such as an LVPO or even a red dot or magnifier, anything that you want. But of course, it does come with is front and rear sights just in case if you don't want to just rock it plain natural. On the other side, we do see on the offsets from the 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock positions. On the back end of it, you do have is the combined M-lock rail mount in the back, just in case if need be, to put any other lightweight accessories such as your flashlight, lasers, or any other accessories you want to put on there. So now we already talked about the rail, let's move on to the receiver. Now with the receiver, you will have is a full metal setup just like we do see in the Trinity AEG, and at the same time we do have is the standard controls being on the left hand side for safe, semi, and full auto. Sorry lefties, once again you will have to manipulate it to your own specifications, but right now it is more for the right-handed operations. But now let's get on to the meat and bones of this gun, which for HPA players, I will say this is the coup de grace for this rifle. Mainly the fact is, what would make it different in comparison to other HPA engines? Well, for starters, what would happen if Gate were to put an engine as their own alongside with their famous Gate Titan MOSFET? Yup, you guessed it, as the Trinity Armament does include is Gate's own HPA system known as the Pulsar engine, which basically would collaborate and work with is the Gate Titan II MOSFET system. As we know that the MOSFET can do many features as calibrating in regards of the trigger MOSFET, even changing out the system of going from safe semi-full auto to burst or any type of situation out there. Again, a nice little setup from Gate and Arcturus in the Trinity rifle series. To help complement basically the Gate Titan MOSFET, we do have is the nice Nova trigger from Gate as well when it comes to putting all this together for the best trigger response. Now for the hop-up chamber, when we're talking about internals, it is easy to access as well, just like we do see in the AEG, is pulling the charging handle, which reveals from the actual fake bolt catch and dust cover, that will reveal the rotary style hop-up to adjust whatever weight BBs you need to use to help the backspin out to whatever you would need and whatever weight on BBs you want to use for your HPA. Again, a very nice setup, and what we know from Arcturus is a fine-tuned system to help out in getting down range. Now, as we move on to the stock of the rifle, again, you can access it to your battery to help put in your 7.4 lithium polymer battery out there for the HPA engine. Surprisingly enough, the HPA engine would have as the back end of it is the FCU, but since the gate time takes over that situation, all you have in the back end is a Dean's adapter, also the JST type adapter in case if you still have your previous HPA batteries. Again, your options are out there, as long as you keep it with the 7.4 LiPo batteries out there to power the system. So what does that mean about the FCU? Well, again, the features are out there where if you were to control everything on your phone, such as the control for the burst, the PSI system, where again, the control of the nozzle, depending on your Pulsar, it does everything out there on the click on your phone, since you do have is the integrated Bluetooth connection from the Titan 2. Again, a very nice key features out there for even for HPA, making it a lot easier and convenient for you to help change it to whatever you're fine tuning to whatever field you're going to go play at. Now, as of magazine compatibility, as we get into that part, the Trinity Armament is just like the AEG, where it takes multiple magazines out there, including the EPM1s that I've tested out many times, including to the point of any other high-cap magazines that are out there, such as we tested for the Lancer Tactical high-cap magazines and even the G&Gs. These will feed no problem, and for HPA, come in handy when you're trying to send down rounds. So, with HPA, mainly we're going to have to need is the tank, regulator, and a battery to help power the whole system. So why don't we go ahead and grab that and get that ready for the chrono. I'm using 0.20 gram BBs and the HPA tank at 100 PSI. So when chronoing what we've seen on the catalog for actual FPS, when testing this out with any other regulator, on average we can get it as low for the FPS to adjust to under either 240 FPS, so all the way up to a high pressure out there to making this rifle 650 feet per second. Now, that is a ridiculous amount for the range, but it does come in handy for those Muslim games out there if they allow you to use that. Maybe as a DMR, either or. But at the same time is, you do have those fine adjustments just depending on your actual regulator to whatever PSI you would use to help make it either pass for indoor or outdoor regulation. So when you do purchase your Trinity Armament HPA series, you do have a couple of things that do come with the rifle other than the magazine and the rifle itself. Basically, you'll have is the MOS manufacturer's catalog in case if you have any other questions or whatnot to contact them for regards of warranty. You do have their information and also their new features of rifles out here inside their catalog. Alongside, you'll have is your owner manual on a QR code of everything from gate to help explain any other things such as the maintenance or even the programming such as you're working with alongside the Pulsar engine or the gate time MOSFET. Now, speaking about the Pulsar and the gate time MOSFET, you do end up with a nice little swag patch inside, such as saying that you own a gate Pulsar engine alongside the Trinity Armament patch that does come inside along with Arcturus. The one key feature is, of course, yes, it does come with front and rear sights as well, just in case if you want to rock it, just the all-natural M4. So, in conclusion with this rifle, is this something that you want to purchase probably as a first setup as an HPA? Or as for my advanced players, is this something that you would just want to purchase right off the bat in replacement of your other HPA builds? It depends. Now, there are key features that about HPA you're going to need. If you're going to start off with, you're going to need is the battery, the regulator, and the tank, which does cost a lot more. Now, if you have that stuff, this might be another setup that you might want to check out, as this is a pretty interesting and new refined build, specifically with the Gate Titan and Gate's own introduction to HPA, the Pulsar engine, which I have to admit does have a great amount of performance out there, and the response is pretty quick. Now, let's talk about the cost though, as during the time of this recording, the cost of a Trinity Alpha Series HPA setup is $830. I think during the time of this recording, this isn't the most expensive build I've basically reviewed on. So it's a lot of bouginess, but you're paying for, like I said before, is a pre-built HPA system for the gun and everything you would need to work with compatibility for everything else. So it is possibly worth it in that situation where if you want to start off with something brand new, yes, go for it. But if you're starting off with everything else, not buying the regulator and everything else, then maybe, maybe not. It's just, I would see it depending on, careful of what you see on your budget. But a really good performance from Arcturus and with Gate in regards to the HPA. And what would you guys think about this? Comment down below, what do you guys think about the Trinity Alpha, mainly on the HPA lineup? Is this something that you would get, or your experiences with HPA? And if you're looking for products like these, do check it out at airsoftmaster.com. But for this episode, my name's Mike. I'll see you till next time.
This video is brought to you by Airsoft Master.